Alright folks, welcome back to part 3 of our Pro Challenge playthrough on Actraiser. This is going to be the finale to this game and this challenge. Alright, so where we left off, we had just completed the town of Atos. We have 4 of the 6 towns regions done and out of the way. We're going to move on to region number 5. We were only at level 7 when we left off, so I did some offline power leveling to get to level 8, and now we are ready to go into the city or the continent of Marahna here with the eagle-shaped island in the background there. Alright, so as you can tell, this is an island arena, and we're going to see what kind of enemies and monsters this has to hold for us. Alright, we dive down in, and I like to think of Marahna as kind of like ancient Egypt with the Nile River. That's how I've always thought of this area. Definitely a step up in difficulty here in terms of some of the enemies that you've seen with projectiles that they shoot and throw, rocks, arrows. Other than that, nothing we haven't seen before, but it is certainly more difficult than you've seen previously. Just keep moving on forward, pressing forward, although we are a little bit lower level than we'd like to be if you're playing a normal playthrough of the game. It's still nothing we can't handle at this point. Obviously, if you see any blue statues like we saw just down there, be sure to pick them up. We have 2 of them here actually, which is really nice. So we're going to jump through, grab this one here, and I always tend to forget which one is which, what offers what. Apples are great, obviously, so make sure you pick that one up on the far left. I don't think the one on the right has anything useful to offer. Oh, shows what I know, shows what I remember, right? So magical scrolls are certainly awesome to have. Most of the enemies here take no more than 2 or 3 shots apiece, so keep moving on through. Next section, again, nothing we haven't seen, just keep on moving. A lot of projectile throwing enemies here, so doesn't give you a whole lot of time to just kind of stop and smell the roses, so to speak. You do have to keep moving, keep hitting projectiles. I will say a nice thing about this game is that the enemy projectiles can be taken out with your sword in your melee attack, so that is kind of nice. Obviously, enemies like this, you can't run past them, you have to kill them before you can move forward here. So you will take some damage here, unfortunately. Really annoying. Keep on moving. A little bit lower in health than I'd like to see, but again, even though we have the boss right here, it's nothing we can't handle right now, so watch what we got. Move on forward. We're going to have this boss here, right? Now, you can make good use of the magical stardust here, and it's not going to hurt you too much. Now, I will show you, if you get this ugly-looking tentacle here, make sure to bring it away, and occasionally the boss will shoot out projectiles. Shoot them, take them down as you can, and get the free hits on them. It's pretty simple at this point, so when the vine comes over, just get out of the way, jump over it, take it all the way back. Come on back, wash, rinse, repeat, as I always like to say. Nothing you can't handle, just keep on whacking it. 3, 2, I could have just stayed there and taken it, but I'm trying to be safe. Oh, a little bit closer than I'd like to see it, but there we go. Nothing too complicated. We came into the boss fight with only half health, and we still managed to beat this thing. So that's going to take care of Act 1 of Marahna. Now we're going to move into the sim portion of this level. And let's see what kind of new tricks are up their sleeve for us. Anything interesting? We're about to find out. Alright, we zap on down in and we can see we got some trees. You look down in the corner, we have a marsh area. And also in the top left, we see a monster lair. So how are we going to handle all this? Well, let's see. First thing we got to do, we already know trees have to be taken out with lightning. So zap those. There's one monster lair. Now, we see a red demon up there. And let's start building direction. Take care of one of the monster lairs. Man, they're needy already. Yes, we know about this stuff. We are zapping trees. We're going to take care of the marsh areas. We got a bat lair down there. We got a couple blue demons, a red demon. So, nothing we haven't seen in terms of monsters. We've seen pretty much all the monsters we're going to see at this point. We got a bat lair over here. Lots of sun. So basically, take your time and get rid of as many hazards as you possibly can in preparation for moving over to seal up these lairs. So do what you got to do. Got a couple more trees we got to zap here. We'll take care of those in short order. Got one more right down here. And then we can start building directions down to the south. Looks good to me. Don't really have to worry too much about monsters, although we are going to take them down to build our skill points up. And we got one section up here. Go ahead and use the lightning to zap it. And now you might be thinking, what in the world's going on here, right? We have a red demon lair that we cannot access by normal means. So how in the world are we going to get to it? Are we going to have to use a magical skull token like we did back in Bloodpool? Well, it's a possibility. Depends on what the what the townspeople have to do for us. Now right here, this is again another one of those instances that we saw earlier in the game where normal town construction, you get within 1 square of the monster lair, it should seal it up, but it's not happening right here, right? Again, the only thing I can surmise is that we don't have enough population for the game to allow us to do that. Anyway, in the past. Now, up there we have the Eagle's Lair. Now, this is an interesting puzzle. If you think back to the town of Cassandora, there was a mural in that desert, right? And if you looked very closely at it, there was a rock in part of that eagle mural there. And that's meant to be a key here. If you actually take out or zap part of that island where the rock was showing in Cassandora, it will actually make that specific tree disappear. Oh, by the way, earthquake. Look what just happened. We caused the tectonic plates to shift, and now we have just merged the 2 islands together here. So yes, that's how we're going to do it. Not a bad strategy to think about the magical skull token, but that's not what the game had intended us to do here. So the earthquake will cause both of the plates to shift together, and you can now build over onto that top island up there. The only downside to using an earthquake is that it will kill basically everybody on your continent, on your area here, which is not that bad of an idea or a strategy in the long run because, again, we want to keep population counts relatively low so we can keep our level at 10 or below. So, not the end of the world. I recommend that you do it sooner than later so you don't have to worry about killing too many people and starting over your population, at least on a full, true playthrough here. Anyway, town's under construction, and really that's all you're going to see here. It's just construction, taking out the monster lairs. Now, I will show you, once we get a second here. So right there, that's the temple. That's where we're going to be going for the second action sequence here. You don't necessarily have to do this, but you can free up the marsh area in front of that temple there. But whatever. So we're sealing up the last of the few monster lairs. Once again, go all the way over to the right, and you will see, if you really want to, you can wait for the people to float and boat out to the island area. And if they go out there and come back, they will actually bring back a nice piece of magic that you can use, much like the fire or the magical stardust. If I'm not mistaken, it is a magic orb that you can use, or a magic aura. And it's arguably the second best piece of magic in the game. Normally, under normal circumstances, I would definitely get it and consider using it in a normal playthrough. But here, it's not advisable because you run the risk of leveling your town up higher than necessary here. So I would advise against it in this particular playthrough. And again, the magical stardust, in my opinion, is more than enough. So leave it as you will. I don't really think it's that necessary to do it. So that's really all you got to see here. Just continue to level and level and level and build the town out as it needs to be built. Seal up the layers. And once it's done, you're just going to move on to the action sequence here. So we're just going to see you at the end of the sim stage. Okay, while this is flying through, I will point out that right in here they are offering herbs, and that's important because you will need the herbs to calm the people or help the people of Cassandora going through a plague. So be sure to pick that up. Honestly, on second thought, it's not even that necessary because you don't really help them and build out the population more than necessary. But it's there if you really want to know about it. Alright, and that's the final monster lair, and as you probably noticed, we also increased our levels here. Nobody in the temple. What does that mean? Don't really care. All we know is it's time to go out and fight the final action sequence here. Alright, so we have everything we need, and unfortunately, we don't have the aura magic. Not that it really matters. We're not going to stick around to unintentionally level ourselves up. So, time for part 2 of the action sequence of Marahna in the temple. I don't think this one's too tough, and I think the boss is even easier. Alright, so we go in, start off, we're going to head over to the left. Got lots of enemies, obviously, and it's nothing that you can't handle. Just whack them quick, whack them hard. You have a little elevator you're going to go down. These are projectiles that you can hit, obviously. Just keep moving on forward. Be careful, the projectiles don't take too many hits if you can avoid it. We're going to move over to the right after going down the elevator here. More simple enemies to take down. This is a section with falling platforms. Try to go all the way across. There's a one up there, which doesn't seem like a big deal now, but you may want it later when it comes to the end of the game. Now, this is a section where you actually can get hit by spikes, and it won't really be too detrimental to you. So, see what I mean here. Obviously, if you do this, it's going to be tough to get across unless you're very precise with the timing. So, feel free to walk through the spikes if you want to, but try to avoid it if possible. Got some more enemies here. Move down carefully, move down quickly, so you don't have to worry about it too much. I elected to use one of my Stardust Magic Scrolls, and it was utterly worthless there. So we're going to keep on moving. This section of the temple actually has multiple paths if you choose to use them or not. It's up to you. I recommend that you go down for that blue statue there. Don't worry if you take a hit. It gives you a 1-up. 1-ups are nice to have in the event that you die. And you may, so don't feel too bad if it happens. Try to get out of here. Move on over. Eventually, you're going to come into some orbs that shoot lightning. All right? And these things can be very problematic, especially if you're low on health like I am right now. So do what you got to do. Continue to move. Lots of projectiles. Here we go. Lightning orbs. Yeah, this is a place where you're going to take a death. Don't feel bad if it happens. The lightning scroll, not lightning scrolls, but the magic scrolls can be very useful if you need them. So we're going to zoom on through to the end here. Or not to the end, but to the point where we took our last death. And instead of going to the right, we're going to go left this time. As I said, there are different paths you can take, and we're just going to show you the left path. So the left path has some statue heads that will shoot projectiles out at you. Honestly, I think the difficulty of both ways is pretty much equal. Maybe the left could be slightly easier because of fewer projectiles, but it's really up to you. Doesn't make too much of a difference. So going on down. Those things don't want to come after me? Fine. All right, we're going to go down over to the right this time. You're going to see these lightning orb balls here. They cannot be killed. Don't bother trying. Just make sure you're not caught in between them when they go off, or you will take damage, obviously. All right, we're going to move down, and this is a different set of elevators, and that's actually a very nice blue statue with an apple or a peach. I don't recall which one it was. Nevertheless, it will refill your health up to full. Going to keep on moving through. Go through the elevator escalator one final time over to the right. And we're going to keep on moving down. Pretty simplistic stuff at this point. Moving on down over to the right. Okay, and now this is where we died the last time, so let's play it carefully. Move on through the Grim Reapers. We're just moving on carelessly, recklessly at this point. I got to be honest, because I really don't care right now. I just want to get through this as quickly as possible, even with low health. All right, and we're finally at the boss. Now, the boss, again, this is what, boss 10 technically, and you would think it's going to be tough, right? Honestly, if you look at the pattern, it's not that bad. You get underneath him, he has a spiked rear end. Just get underneath him, let him drop down, and get 2 or 3 hits on him. Go back. As I always like to say, wash, rinse, repeat. It's that simple. If for some reason you don't trigger the Buns of Steel, just watch what he does. He has a couple different attack patterns here. He has one where he could be shooting projectiles out to the corners. He also has an attack pattern where he could make spikes drop down from the ceiling. We're trying to avoid those just to make this fight as simple as possible, but be aware there are different attack patterns that he has. Looks like we got very lucky here. He just got the one attack pattern with the Buns of Steel, and it was that easy. I wish it was always that easy, because typically you will have other patterns that come across from time to time. But anyway, that's it for Marahna. We're over and done with it, and now we can move on to the final unpopulated land of this game, which is Northwall, the Tundra region. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Finally done with Marahna. I believe that we finally got ourselves up to level 10, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just go ahead and make sure of it. If not at 10, we're definitely at level 9. Now, again, before you leave Marahna, make sure that you do have the Sheep's Fleece, because you obviously are going to have a time when you come up there where you're going to have to use it, given that section of the land where they're located. I believe we are at level 10, but let's go there right now. So we're going to leave Marahna. See you later. Go up north, over all the populated lands. Northwall, are we at 10? Let's see. Yes, we are. Okay, here we go. Now, let's go in and do the action sequence, and then it's going to be a little bit tricky, you would think, right? Because we got to stay under level 10, meaning we cannot level up one single time before we get to the very end of Northwall. All right, here we go. By the way, love the music in both of these action sequences here. So we're moving through the Iceland. We're going to move off to the right, and we're going to have some pretty difficult enemies here in terms of strategy, projectiles, lots of stuff we got to watch out for here. Birds dropping all kinds of lovely stuff on us. And those gargoyles are shooting 2 fireballs at us now, so we got to be more careful than usual at this point. Do what you normally do. Continue to move forward. Take out the enemies. Nothing too complex. Go ahead and get that nice little magic scroll there. Keep on keeping on. Those icicles will drop away. You can feel free to attack if you want. I just continue to move, take the damage if necessary. We're through the first portion. Now we're inside a cave area. We're going to have more icicles that drop. That's probably the smart thing to do. Those things are pretty annoying because anytime you try to hit them, they put up a shield. Walk across. There is a blue statue there, which I believe has health. Nope, just points, worthless points. All right, we're going to move over to the left or the right. It's up to you. I will tell you, if you go left, there is a statue that you can achieve. We chose not to do that just for the sake of speed. There's actually a statue down there too. And this one gives us a 1-up or points. I can't really recall. I believe it was a 1-up. Either way, it's a good choice. All right, now we're going to go back over to the left just to show you what's over there. Wait for this ice cube block to come back across. Do a little dance. Kill the ice bats. Got a gargoyle. And what is it? Obviously, it's health. Can never go wrong with health. All right, run back across. And this is going to be a section where I get trolled here, unfortunately. So we're just going to go ahead and speed through this. And I will show you what happens the first time. Watch out for the ice spike down there. We'll wait one final time. Just a lot of bad timing, unfortunately. So get yourself over there, duck down, and you're going to have an option to jump across. And you got a nasty enemy there with his shield and projectiles. Just keep doing it again over and over until he disappears. It's that simple, unfortunately. So because of my bad luck, I'm going to speed through this. We'll catch you when we get there. Alright, finally get past that stupid platform section, take out the enemy that was trolling us. Alright, now we have another section which can prove to be a little problematic here. You have a section that you move straight across, and then you're going to have a ice block that moves over to the right. You could come up there if you are very good with the timing, but you got to be very careful because of the ice blocks at the very top, the ice spikes at the top. I always forget if stalagmites or stalactites are the ones on the top. There was a rhyme I remember way back when, I can't remember, but anyway, I'm going to go with stalactites. Alright, so continue to move. Wait till you get the ice block. Ride it up there. Continue moving. That's a nice little bomb item to pick up. Lots of stupid eyeballs there. Just continue moving on, jumping up the platform. Nothing you can't do or anybody else can't do for that matter. Keep on keeping on. Take out the enemies here. Pretty straightforward stuff. You're going to have some gargoyles here. Take them out as quickly and safely as you can. You want to try to conserve a little bit of health here, because you will have a boss coming up pretty soon. So try to play not quite as recklessly as I'm doing right here. I'm obviously fairly confident in my skill level, so I can afford to do some of these things. If you're not used to this game or if you've never played it before, I probably wouldn't be as reckless as I am, obviously. Alright, continue moving across. You're going to head up and over to the right. Another gargoyle here. Take it down. Another ugly looking enemy throwing axes, and we are at the boss, I believe. Alright, here we go. Water boss. Over and across. This thing is going to shoot fire down at us. Feel free to use the magical stardust. Watch what happens here. He's going to come down at us. A lot of bad luck here, unfortunately. Go, go, go. Hurry up. He's going to come and swoop down at us. So, again, you can hit him. You can just jump and hit him, or you can use the stardust. It's really up to you. So, unfortunately, a little bit of bad luck here. I have 2 bits of the stardust left. What are we going to do? Of course, we're going to burn the stardust, and hopefully we can kill him. Oh, 1 hit left. Oh, 101. What's going to happen? Oh, we got him. That was a lot closer than it needed to be, but we did take him out. Made for good entertainment, though, right? All right. First section of Northwall is done. We can finally move on to the sim stage, and we can focus on keeping ourselves at level 10 and below, because that's the main challenge of the sim stage now. We are at where we need to be. Now we need to stay where we need to be. Zapping down in, and clearly you can see the main hazard up front. It's snow, right? You cannot build on snow as hard as you can try. So you're going to be using the sun a lot to clear a lot of that stuff out of there so you can actually build. Break out the sun. And I would say, obviously, melt the snow that you need to build. But take note of where the enemy lairs are, because you need to get out of this sim stage as quickly as possible. Keep yourself under level 10, right? Go ahead and use the Sheep's Fleece now while you're at it, because they will be asking you for it sooner than later, so just get it out of the way. So clearly we can see off the chute we have a blue demon lair. Over in the top right, if I'm not mistaken, that is a Skullhead lair. Yes, it is. And I believe there's actually a second Skullhead lair too. So we got 2 of those, a couple more. Yeah, those Skullheads can be pretty ugly and nasty in this town, by the way, because you got 2 of them to deal with. And they take 8 shots apiece, right? And they cause massive damage on a sim level. And by the way, you've never seen this happen yet, but if the angel runs out of health on a sim stage, you can't fire arrows. You might think to yourself, what's the point? You know, who cares, right? Well, to an extent, you're right, it's not that big of a deal. Here's where it becomes a problem, though. If you allow the angel to run out of health, you can't shoot down enemies here, and you can't earn skill points that are needed to level up your town and progress, increase the progression of your town building. And obviously, you want to complete the progression building of Northwall as quickly as you can, because we're already at level 10. And historically, if you go back and you take a look at all of the other towns that we've been to so far, we've leveled up at least once, if not twice, in every single town. So we definitely need to work very quickly, very fast, expeditiously, whatever verb you want to use here. Because if you don't, the challenge is over. So it is important. Take them out quickly, get it over and done with. It is okay if you let one of those things go off, the Skullheads, and cause an earthquake, because it will keep the population counts down considerably. Don't let it happen all the time, or else you cannot increase progression of the town. But my point stands. Alright, we're going to go back to Northwall now that we have all the stuff that we need here. Floating on back. Floating on back. Dropping back down in. And you can see we have a red demon lair up in the top there, as well as the 2 Skullheads and the blue demon. Man, those things are really annoying. This is a case, if I haven't said it already, it's definitely okay to use your bombs, to use your strength of arrows here, strength of angel here. Take advantage of it. This is why you got them, right? This is the only town where it's really necessary, aside from maybe Atos, where they introduce you to the Skullheads here. Now, we haven't talked too much about the other different types of magic that we have, right? So there's 4 different types of magic. You have the magical fire, we have the stardust, which we're using exclusively basically, we have the magical aura, and then we have the 4th one, which we haven't seen yet, which is the magical light. The way you get that is you need to unfreeze all of the snow around this lake here. If you do that, once the townspeople go to explore the lake, they will find the 4th magical power, which is the magical light. Only problem is, of course, waiting for them to go over and do the exploration, and by that point in time, you're probably going to be at level 11, so it's not worth it. Not to mention, the Stardust is better anyway, but at least now you know where the 4th magic can be found. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot else to say about this section of the game in Northwall. Really, all we're going to do from here on is just continue to melt the snow, build toward the monster lairs just like we've done in every other single town. So let's just go ahead and finish it up, and then we will finally be done with the sim stage, and hopefully we can do it without leveling up. Hint, we will. So let's go ahead and fast forward, and we'll see you at the end of the sim stage. And that's going to do it for Northwall here, and it looks like we did a pretty crappy job of keeping our citizens safe, but you know what? It kept us under level 10, or at level 10 rather, so I really don't care about the citizens of Northwall. Alright, going back up to the Sky Palace, let's go back all the way down, and let's man, look out. Man, how many houses do we actually have built? Not that many. Okay, down into this ugly looking tree, and I gotta tell you right here, this is probably my favorite piece of music in the entire game right here, Northwall Act 2. Absolutely love it. Alright, before you go down in that hole there, go ahead and make a quick tricky jump up here. Walk all the way up, and there's a 1-up just in case you need it. Hint, hint, you may need it for the final section of the game, so let's just hold on to it carefully. Here's another magic scroll down here. Make sure you get both of those. And we have another... Actually, you're going to have a lot of enemies in this tree here that have those shields. They're very annoying. This is understandably one of the toughest sections in the entire game, and it should be, rightfully so, because you're near the end of the game. Alright, go ahead, just keep moving up the tree. There will be some tricky sections coming up. Obviously, anytime you come across these projectile throwing enemies, try not to be on the same level as them so you can avoid that. This is a case, unfortunately, where you don't have much of a choice. You are going to have to get up there, get up in their face, and do some melees. I got very lucky there. Go ahead and move across to the right. Go on up. Key to this section is just to continue to move up and get these statues where you can. Point statues are really worthless. I know back in the days of the 80s and 90s, points were all the rage, right? Like an arcade game. I don't really care here. Unless points give you more, get you closer to an extra life, which I don't believe they do. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know too much about the score mechanic in this game, but I really don't think it serves much of a point otherwise, so I don't really care about scores in general, unless I'm playing a true 1980s arcade game. Alright, enough of that. Moving on, continuing up the tree. Whole bunch of ugly birds dropping worms on us. Not that it really matters, just going to keep on moving. Nothing we haven't seen already. When we get to this next section, we will come to a part that we've never encountered before in this game. Will be some bubble balloons, basically. Yeah, lots of bubbles. Lovely stuff. And here it comes. Right about here. Now, when you get to this section, I recommend staying over to the left as much as you can because there's less stuff to worry about here. The green bubbles are typically best. Stay away from the yellow bubbles. Those ones will hurt you. So we're looking for green ones. This is a good place to stand, by the way. The enemies can't get you. I'm going to go all the way up on the left. Try to stay on the green bubbles, of course. And we're in trouble right now. Need to be a little bit more cautious with our health. Not that it really matters at this point. Okay, we are at the boss. Now, we have a couple options. We could go after the boss like we're doing right now, or we could intentionally take a death right here. And you know what? I've only got 2 HP. This is something you got to be really aware of right now. So, I would say go ahead and kill it. Yeah, you could have gone either way with that strategy there. So, anyway, we took him out. And we are officially done with Northwall here. Going on to the final section of the game now. You might ask, what is the last section of this game? Well, the last section of the games you're about to see is Heim. What is Heim? Consider it like Mega Man at the very end of the game, where you have to do a complete monster gauntlet boss battle. That's exactly what this is. And this is where the Pro Challenge really gets its teeth. You need to go in there at level 10, which is where we're at, with the absolute minimum amount of health possible and take out every single boss. Now the good thing is that you don't have to do it in one life. You can die once, twice, 3 times, basically as many times as you have lives. And we have at least 4 lives, so I'm thinking we're going to be just fine. Now unfortunately, we came in there with not a whole lot of life, but I do believe that they refill your life before you go into a new section, and we'll just confirm that right now. Yes, they do, thankfully. Alright, now we have 3 lives. So, we're going to see how far we can get on 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives. I'll tell you right now, out of the chute, we actually had some very bad luck fighting this first boss here. And you'll notice immediately, right now, these guys move a lot faster than their counterparts the first time you fight them. So, if you want to play it legitimately, you're going to have to go all the way out, all the way back in, and you're only going to have time to get 1 or 2 hits in per cycle. So, do that as you will, and unfortunately, we're going to take a lot of unfortunate damage here. So, this is a case where I am going to burn a magic scroll or 2, just because, hell with it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the agony. If I had unlimited time, I might consider it, but right now, you got to remember there is a time limit, and it will come into play if you are not aggressive. And right now, it's just a lot of bad luck right now. This is about where I'm saying, you know what, forget this. Forget it. Forget it. I'm not even caring at this point. I'm just waiting. Boom, here it comes. Stardust. Look at that. 1 scroll nearly took him out. That was ridiculous. Now, unfortunately, it left us in a really bad position here. So, we're going to move in, and you're going to notice every time we take out a boss, one of the heads disappears. The gargoyle head is gone, right? So, that's 1 down with 6 to go, right? We can do that with only 3 units of health. Who cares about Pro Challenge? This is Ultra Pro, right? Alright, obviously, remember this guy, right? Moves very fast. Anytime he's on the bottom, move in. If he's on the top, don't worry about jumping up there. You're not going to get to him. We're looking for bottom, 1st tier, or 3rd tier. Alright, we're in trouble right now. We could elect to take him out with 3 scrolls, I don't think it's worth it. So, unless you're very careful and you know the cycles perfectly, and we're going to try. We're going to see how we can do. Can we take this guy down? We're going to try our best. If we can get him down to werewolf status, which is the second form, then we will probably consider using the scroll. This is a case where with only 1 unit of life, most people will elect to take the optional death there. Alright, we've got him down into werewolf status. We're going to go all the way up top to avoid taking a hit here. Here comes the magical Stardust Scroll, I believe. Yep. Did we get him? Yes, we did. Ooh, that was a lot closer than it needed to be, but guess what? We're down with 2. Okay, that's 2 down with 5 to go. I can guarantee you we're going to take an intentional death here on this next one here to get ourselves back up to full life. Let's go ahead and do that. Just take the hit. Take the hit. Come on. Take the hit. Well, if he's going to just give us free hits like this, then okay. I mean, we'll do the best we can, but yeah, just take the death. All right, here we go. Much better odds of getting through this back up to full life. All right, now we're going to follow the same strategy that we had. We're just going to stay there and whack as much as we possibly can. Now, the good thing is he'll fire 1 arrow and then disappear. So you don't really have to worry about destroying the Pharaoh heads that shoot the arrows. So just really focus on the main Pharaoh head boss here. All right, we've got a good chunk down. Just keep whacking. That's really all there is to it. Watch out for the arrows if you can help it. A lot of unfortunate bad luck here. We're taking more hits than we should right now. But it's okay. Alright, and that takes care of the third boss. Only 4 more to go, right? We can do it. Taking more damage than I'd like to see right now, but we will be just fine, I'm pretty sure. Next up, we have Atos and the Fire Wheel. Now, if you think back to Atos, I mentioned I think that this iteration of the boss is actually easier than the first one. And the reason why is because the fire projectiles that he shoots come much faster. Yeah, and they just get out of the way quicker. When they come slower, you have to worry about them coming down, and you can't really get up on the platform as fast as you'd like to avoid him wheeling himself left and right. So get your hits in, come back down. This is honestly a boss that you should not take any damage on. This should be a nice little reprieve for you. So boom, there he goes, gone. That's 4 down with 3 to go. The next one is going to be Marahna, and this is going to be the one where he has the buns of steel, right? This is also a case where you should take very little damage. Now, you will see in this second form of him, yes, he does the buns of steel, but he also will give you the other cycles from time to time. So it's not going to be quite as simple, and you're going to see right here. He's going to shoot out those bolts of lightning out to the side. It's not always going to be as easy as getting him to drop down in the center all the time. So just be cautious of that. It's okay if you take a hit or two, but try to get him to drop down in the center as often as you can. What you don't want to see is him dropping the spikes, the spiked platforms down. And you're going to, yeah, like that right there. Unfortunately, we get some bad luck here. He's going to be dropping platforms down all over the place. Now, you could just say, why don't I just jump on top of the platforms, hover up there, and go hit him? Well, you could do that, but the problem is, and you haven't seen this yet, but if you ride those platforms up all the way to the top, there are spikes on the ceiling. It is not worth taking the potential damage up there. Just go down, let him come down, get the 2 or 3 free hits, and keep moving back out to the side. This is the easiest way, in my opinion, to take him down, so just do what needs to be done here. It's going to be a lot of the same stuff. Honestly, I'm just going to fast forward to the end of this boss fight here. Okay, we took a lot more hits than I would have liked to seen there. That was a very careless boss fight, but knowing that I have 2 lives left to give, we're still not, in terrible shape right now. All right, moving on to the next one, Northwall. This is the big ice bird, ice gargoyle, so to speak, whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, we're in pretty bad shape right now. Now, we do have 2 magic scrolls, but I don't want to waste them. So I'm just going to take an intentional death here, refill our life, and we're going to go all the way over. And really, we're just going to take him out with the magical scrolls. Look at that, 1 scroll, half his life gone. Burn another one. That was not the best use of the scroll. And unfortunately, we are going to take a couple hits here as we get some wax in. And it wasn't that bad, actually. We only lost 2 life units there. So there, that takes care of all of the regular bosses. Now it's time to take on the final boss of the game, Tanzra, in Heim. Let's see how it goes. Teleport me away. Alright, now immediately, at the very start of this fight, first of all, new boss music, you're going to have a meteor shower coming down. And if you think back to Atos, if you got that power-up I told you to get way back at the start, you now have the option to shoot sword beams, which is really, really cool. So use that to your advantage. You will certainly want to use it when it is absolutely necessary. Hint, it's always necessary. Alright, so this is the first part of the fight. It's not too difficult. Just stay out of the way of the meteors. Keep hitting them. Avoid these projectiles. Now, here's where it gets really ridiculous. Whoa, check that life bar. Fills the entire screen, right? We can do it. We're going to pull it off. I hope we're going to pull it off. So, first part, don't do what I just did. As soon as those projectiles come, move slightly forward all the time. Duck that projectile. Duck again. Take out these ones. Now, these projectiles will follow you. So, slightly move forward when you can. And the heart is the vulnerable point of this boss here. So, you got to be very careful to not only hit the boss, but be careful of these other projectiles coming to hit you here. Slightly move forward after every one. Just keep on hitting. It's going to be a close battle. It's certainly not going to be the easiest of fights, but it can be done. Take out the projectiles as they come at you, as I've said. Alright, this should be fairly simple. Get as many hits in as you can. Take that heart down. And I think one more cycle honestly should do it. We're in pretty good shape right now, even though we didn't come in with full health. You might say, take an intentional death. No way. We're going to take him down right here, right now. Gone. Goodbye, Tanzor. We just defeated you. We just defeated Heim. And we just defeated this game at level 10, which means we've just defeated this challenge. And it is now officially in the books. That's right, it's clear. Now we do have the option of sitting back and watching this cutscene, but as you know, as much as I love the cutscenes in a lot of these games, that's not why we're here. We're here to strike this challenge off the list, and that's exactly what we just did. Alright, good news is that we're done with this game, we're done with the challenge, and it didn't take us nearly as long as Final Fantasy VI. So thank you guys very much for sticking around and watching. As always, very much appreciated. We have a couple more games coming up very soon that are a much different twist than the RPGs and action games we've been seeing. And hopefully you guys will enjoy those as they come up. Take care. We'll see you in the next game.